Hey guys, before we get started on today's episode, which is about a ridiculous movie by Toby Hooper, we're continuing our Toby Hooper series. This movie is Stephen King inspired.
I mean, Stephen King created. It's a story that was made by Stephen King, so it's Stephen King's story.
Oh
I
my
don't know how
God.
much he wanted to do with the movie, though.
I think this is definitely a Stephen King during his cocaine years. Um, during his like, damn it, I need a paycheck.
Okay.
If I
Yeah.
wrote like 50 pages about a killer laundry machine, you want to pay me? And they'd be like, yeah,
It's
we'll
like
pay you lots
the
of
Family
money.
Guy skit where he's like, it's a story about, he like looks around, he's like, killer lamp.
Ah, yep, that's this. That's it. This is the Mangler. We're gonna be talking about it. Before we do, the standard business. Follow us on social media: Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is, whatever you're using these days, whatever sadness machine you are addicted to. Um, the Launchpad Podcast and on YouTube, Launchpad Podcast as well, and our website, launchpadpod.com. So, yeah, we're going to get into it. It's going to be fun. Rumi made me watch The Funhouse, so I made him watch this.
Yeah, I don't know who got the worst deal, but I think it's me. We'll talk.
We're going to find out on today's episode of the Launchpad Podcast.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
All right, welcome to the Launchpad Podcast. I'm Aaron.
I'm Matt.
Matt, your boy band hair is rocking. You like traveled through time back to the 90s and you're rocking the boy band still.
It's just being lazy. I got to tell you, 3 people this week, 3 separate people in 3 separate instances was like, whoa, you almost have enough for a man bun. I was like, no, I
Yes.
will never
Join.
have a man bun. One
Join
person
us.
said it would probably look good. I said, no, there's exactly one person that looks good with a man bun, and that's Jason Momoa. He could pull it off. And then I thought about it, and I was like, my co-host on my podcast show, he's a goofy fucking guy anyway, so it works for him. I'm not going to say it looks good, but you can pull it off because you're roomy.
Rumi, I need you to get Man Bun Link just once, just so we could be twinsies. Man Bun twinsies.
Here's the deal, okay? A long time ago, my mom and sister pushed me to wear a sweater vest. Like when I started teaching, they were like, "You'll look so good. You look so good." And it's so not me. I was like, "There's no way." And wouldn't you know, I'm sure my lady fans will agree, I looked fantastic in it. I looked so good. But that's not me. Gross. Throw that shit on the floor. I'm not saying I wouldn't look good with a man bun. I would, as much as Jason Momoa has made that a thing that men want to aspire to, if I did it, Jason Momoa would try to copy my man bun.
Tell you what,
Gross. Throw that on the floor.
If you get a man bun and you show up to Comic-Con with a man bun, we can rub our buns together.
All right, I'm not going to lie. You coming up with that idea and saying it that way, it makes a little bit of incentive. Probably not enough for me to do it, but I'm contemplating it for you.
Hey, at least it was not an immediate no, but I know the next time you get that haircut, you're gonna be like, "Oh, now we can't rub buns."
Yeah, no, it's definitely not happening. Oh God.
But yeah, we're talking about Toby Hooper, renowned master of horror, which I posit is a little bit of an overstatement for this director. Groundbreaking, yes. Rumi, you just hawked up a loogie. That was gross.
But I saved it. I literally saved it. Yeah.
I'm saving it for later.
Sick. You're the first person I've talked to in like 36 hours.
I'm so glad you didn't cancel on me, Rumi. I'd be so sad.
No, I wanted to I wanted to talk about this piece of shit so bad. And this is actually like exactly one of those things that I can only talk to you about. Like I made a new nerd friend at school and he's down. He's a nerdy dude. But like even him, I can't share the Mangler with?
The Mangler. It is, Toby Hooper directing a Stephen King story written by Toby Hooper, Stephen David Brooks, Harry Allen Towers, starring Robert Englund, Ted Levine, and Daniel Matmore. Tell them who Ted Devine is.
I'll give you a hint. It puts lotion in the basket.
Yeah.
Put the fucking lotion in the basket.
Would you fuck me? I'd fuck me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Turns
Buffalo
out that
Bill from
Silence of the Lambs. People are like, are they going to tell us who it is? I didn't.
Yeah, they thought it was the girl in the pit.
Yeah.
Senator's daughter.
No. It's Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs. And turns out that's
Playing
what he's
a cop.
Playing a
he
cop.
only plays killers or cops. He was a cop in Heat. He was a cop in something else I've watched within the last month. He only does those two things.
Well, that's what he sounds like. That's his voice. He always, would you fuck me? I'd fuck me. You know, or he's like,
he has the weirdest voice. Yeah,
I have a weird voice. Would you subpoena me? I'd subpoena me so hard. Yeah, he always
like that. We have now said all cops all have weird voices. That's what the takeaway here is.
Yep. He still has that weird voice in this movie, and the movie is about the Mangler, which is a laundry machine that kills people. Yep. A giant laundry steaming, pressing, folding machine that kills people. It is the most random thing I ever heard, but I think it's better than the Funhouse.
No, you can't honestly think that.
I had more fun with this than the Funhouse, because the Funhouse, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? This movie, I'm like, get the fuck out of here, movie. And all the pretense was already gone within the first 5 minutes. The premise alone, it had nowhere to go because it was already on the bottom. Whereas the Funhouse was like, I'm a fun slasher. And then I was like, you're lying to me. It's like, yep. Yeah, like the Funhouse just crashed that movie into the ground. Whereas the Mangler is like, I'm a movie about a killer laundry machine. I was like, you better bring it. And they're like, you want to see some lady get folded in half? And I was like, oh yeah. All right. How about like 6 ladies? Okay, cool. I guess you made that movie. You did make a killer laundry movie. I can't even say you made a bad killer laundry movie because there's nothing to compare it to. It's the best killer laundry machine movie you've ever seen.
This is a movie that Stephen King originally wrote for a magazine, I believe, but that was in '78 was collected into Night Shift, which is one of my favorites, short story anthology books ever, and certainly it was my favorite collection from Stephen King, and he has some really great short stories. And I feel like maybe it's related to all the shit that we give Stephen King about some of his stories that can't stick the landing.
Yeah,
with a short story, it's so compressed and so short, you don't have time to fuck it up. And I can tell you, like, I would have a hard time picking my favorite short stories of Stephen King or ranking them, especially from Night Shift specifically. But and shout out to Papa C, my dad, big Stephen King fan, got me into Stephen King in like middle school, if not earlier. No, it must have been earlier because I know I was doing it in 6th grade. I remember talking with him about, the different things that we would be reading at any given time. And I remember having a conversation and I was like, Dad, the Mangler? And he was like, yeah, it's a short story about an old fashioned industrial laundry press that's folding sheets and shit. And it is possessed and starts, sucking people in. And you're like, okay, I guess I've had Shitty Movie Sunday now for 20 plus years.
Oh my
I've
goodness.
seen worse stuff. But that premise is so hard to swallow just as a premise.
Because it's so simple. Just walk away. Don't get close. Like it still has the parameters of a regular laundry press machine, which arguably is dangerous. Don't get too close to it. Right. Don't stick your hands in it. And yes, this like grabs you and sucks you in through various tricks and traps, but you still, if you just didn't get
one more extra step back, like
yeah.
It's not like, let's say, a 50s, beautiful 50s car that is mobile.
Yeah,
and
no,
drive around.
Yeah, and until the end of the movie. But it's like, if those ladies were like, "Hey, don't get too close; it'll cut your arm off," and they're like, "I know it's a dangerous piece of machinery." No, it's haunted. Oh, So yeah, just don't get too close. That's the same rules still apply. All you have to do is just or quit. All these ladies are like, I can't quit. It's my only job. And look, we've all been stuck in dead end jobs, but like he's obviously not. He's paying you like shit. Robert Englund, Freddy Krueger's paying you like shit. The job sucks. I think you could probably get like a waitress job at the diner. Like this town doesn't suck that bad that this is the only job in town.
Well, it was in the old days where women weren't allowed to do anything except professional women jobs.
What old days is this? Like, when do you think this movie takes place?
1811.
No, it's like in the
No, it's like
80s.
in this, yeah, I don't think it's the 80s. I think it's earlier than that, isn't it?
He's driving around in
No, yeah, you're right.
He's driving around in a Ford, like in a Bronco. He's driving around in an O.J. Simpson Bronco.
Think about the visuals from the film itself, right?
Yes.
Everything that takes place inside that place seems way older than everything that takes place outside.
Everyone also talks like there's an old photograph guy whose camera looks old. It has like a flash bulb that you have to like replace every time. He's like, looks like we've seen another murder today. Like it feels like it should be a Perry Mason era show, like in the 30s or 40s, but it takes place in the 80s. And the only way you can tell is because he drives around in a Ford Bronco. And you're like, if he had just like it would have been interesting if it was a period piece because it would make more sense. Also, the refrigerator is like an ice box from the 50s or 60s. Like it's a giant chest with the like giant like refrigeration unit on top, the circular rotund refrigeration. Oh yeah, there's a haunted ice box too. Got to mention.
So this is funny too because the guys are moving the refrigerator and they are the worst movers in the history of cinematic relocating objects because they cannot move things without knocking things over. You see them in two different scenes. In both scenes, they're like knocking everything over. That ends up giving this machine a taste of blood. They end up accidentally cutting someone that the blood gets in the machine, and that's how the machine gets evil sentience, I guess. I'm not familiar with laundry machines, so forgive me.
Well, I'll get into it, but it doesn't make any goddamn sense.
So I have my own thoughts on this. I did take actually pretty decent notes while watching this. But I found a quote. That really sums it up. David Kronk of the Los Angeles Times wrote, "Consider for a second what you might honestly expect from a movie called The Mangler. Well, it doesn't even aim that high." And that's what it is, because you're like, okay, it's called The Mangler. I get it. I've seen a movie before. I'm familiar with horror and tropes and Stephen King. And then you're like, what's it about? You're like, it's about a killer laundry machine. You're like, okay, I understand what a movie like that would be or should be. And then you watch it and you're like, what the? It is such a mess of things. And I have something that I haven't, maybe Rumi, you've seen this, but I have a possible reason as to why it doesn't work as a film. Not why it's silly, not why the acting is shitty, but why as a cumulative thing, I found that Tobe Hooper was fired off of this and that one of the producers finished it. And the thing that I saw, let's see, I'm looking at
why would you fire Tobe Hooper off this?
Well, there's a website. I don't want to steal it. So there's a website called tvtropes.org.
Okay.
And apparently, according to this, one of the screenwriters and Tobe Hooper wanted this to be a lot more tongue-in-cheek. They wanted it to be a lot more silly. They wanted it to be a lot more Shitty Movie Sunday-esque. And that's why, according to this website, that's why he was fired. Now, if you assume for a second that that's correct and you watch this movie, certain scenes start to make sense. You're like, oh, okay, this was a bad attempt at making a Shitty Movie Sunday movie that you were restricted from going the way you wanted or from pulling it. Or, you had a couple scenes that were filmed, what would you say, like earnestly, like for real, and a couple scenes that were supposed to be tongue in cheek, and then you edited it into this fucking mess that looks like it actually got folded and smashed up in the laundry machine itself.
Yeah, it did.
And that's why you have this mix mash of a thing that doesn't even really stand as a film, right?
No, it's all over the place. But I will say I didn't find it humorous at all. And maybe it's also
Correct.
because I've seen Tobe Hooper's attempt at humor in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and that didn't work either. So maybe it would have failed
Yeah,
regardless of
right.
what he did. Yeah, Eaten Alive, was that tongue in cheek? What is your brand of humor? He's like, I like it when people scream and die. And you're like, hilarious, Toby. Tobe. Well, what like what was Toby? Like
Rumi and I watched this like a month or two ago at least.
Yep.
And so like it's not fresh in my head. However, I did take good notes. And I do remember the first note I wrote down was that this is like a high school movie with a decent budget. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like if me and you and a couple of the kids we would have hung out with in high school were somehow given $1 million in 1999 to make a movie about this is about what we would have come up with. Like,
I think it's the best you can do. Like I said, it's the best you can do.
Ted Levine, and also like assume that the actors were played by our friends. Ted Levine is trying shittily to play every cop that you've ever seen in a cop movie. He's got a friend slash helper on the case who's like into the occult and science and shit. And
it's his
like,
brother-in-law, but I didn't get that from the movie. I thought it was just his gay neighbor, like his gayber. I didn't know I didn't know what the fuck was going on. And then I'm reading the review of it, and it's like, oh, it's his brother-in-law, and you're like, his brother-in-law is his direct next door neighbor. What is going on here? What?
You've got he's like a kooky guy who like knows about occult shit and somehow is convincing the detective to look into it. You have every non-owner of the factory is just a whip cracking guy who's like, work harder, ladies, work harder.
Yeah.
Every woman that works there is a stranded peasant woman who just has to work. You have one of the most over-the-top cartoon villains as this half man, half robot Freddy Krueger actor plays this super mean guy for no real reason. And it's like, if we were at a table, Rumi, I know you'd be like, what if the photographer would be like an old-timey photographer who was like, yeah, we got another murder, as he throws his flashbulbs on the ground. And we would be too dumb to be like, that doesn't fit in with the rest of the puzzle. But fuck it,
Is the book take place in the 30s? Like, where did this like antiquate? Like you said, like they all feel like they're in a sweatshop from the 20s and 30s. If you saw the new HBO Perry Mason, that's the time frame I think this takes place in, but it doesn't. How weird is Robert Englund in this? He's got old age makeup on it. Yeah, he's got missing eye, like it's all clouded over. He's got weird metal robot legs that aren't mechanical. It's like braces, but they look like armor. It's crazy. And he has like crutches that can then like transform into different things. He's having inappropriate relationships with the ladies. He has a daughter that he's planning to sacrifice to the machine, who again found out she was 16 near the end of the movie. And you're like, what? Wait, no. That's a 40-year-old woman this whole movie. And suddenly you're telling me she's 16? Get the fuck out of here.
And again, it's just like if you and me as 15-year-olds were trying to write a cool, fun villain for this movie, that is exactly what we would write. Like, there's supposed to be a thing about the machine is taking over his life and he is becoming part machine.
Because he keeps sacrificing to it. Yeah.
It is a unneeded, in my opinion, an unnecessary connection between the two. But like, it's just so over the head with his crutches and his missing eye and all of his prosthesis. And he's acting his ass off.
Oh.
Like, guys, this is the guy who played Freddy Krueger in Freddy Krueger 3, 4, and 5. And he is overacting more than that. And it's like, and there's also, you'd think that this is like a movie you'd put on with a bunch of friends and laugh your ass off, but it's not. It somehow lands in that dead man zone between a good movie and a laughably fun bad movie. It just falls kind of flat. And all these funny shit that, like, we're explaining it funny, but that's not really how it plays, right?
No, it's not bad enough to be funny, but it's not good enough to be good. But it's trying. It's trying so hard. There's this weird plot about the town elders, like the leaders of this community or whatever, the rich men sacrificing their daughters to this machine throughout history to maintain their power. And you're like, okay, interesting, fine. There's like a contract they sign and it's signed with blood. But the movie starts with just some random chick bleeding on the machine a little bit because she cuts her hand, and then it starts eating people. If you're feeding daughters to it, isn't it always eating people? Why? Like, it just seems like it's a random thing. And then suddenly they're like, no, this happens all the time. We knew it was going to eat people, which again, I don't know where that falls apart, but you're just like, wait, you set up a different plot and now you're switching it midway through to some sort of cult thing. And you're just, none of it makes sense, but hey,
again, I could see too many cooks in the kitchen. If this was a vision that someone had, whoever it was, and then it got pulled from them, and then a lot of you guys that listen to us know how movies are made. They're not necessarily made in chronological order. So the first couple scenes, the next couple scenes, and that they could have all been made with a different director, a different person at the helm. So if you change the tone, if you make it winking at the audience, and then the next one is trying to make it serious, and then you try to cut those together at the end of the shoot, you have two different pieces of at least two different movies, if not four different movies. Yeah. Trying to put that together in a narrative straight line that makes an interesting movie.
Good luck. I love Robert Englund's death in this. His girlfriend, his coerced employee, I don't know, really inappropriate relationship. Like I said, she gets eaten by the machine at the very end in a big culmination of a big like fight. And fucking Ted Levine, we have to say the prayer to exercise it. That's not a good Ted Levine. How does he put the lotion on the basket? We have to exercise it to get it done. Is it a big fat demon I gotta exercise? Yeah, he's screaming. Hilarious to see him like really put 100% into like the how devastated he is to see this person get sucked into the machine. And then Robert Englund goes and sees her all smashed. And he's like, oh, I guess you're off the clock, which made me chuckle. And then he gets grabbed by the machine and thrown into the folding part of it. And it folds him, dun, 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 and real slow. And it's really nasty. And I like that.
Different little set pieces, like folding on him and prosthetics and folding his legs back over his.
He's screaming the whole time, blood spraying everywhere. Just before that, the only note I took, because I was just blown away by I was
because
flabbergasted.
I literally couldn't pick up a pencil.
Yeah. My only note that I took of this said, "You miserable piece of dog fuck."
You're a true journalist, Remy.
Ted Levine is beating the shit out of Robert Englund. And he's like, is this what you were doing it for? So that you could maintain power? You miserable piece of dog fuck. And I was like, did you like forget your line? And that was what came to your head while you're punching on Robert Englund? And they were like, yeah.
I wrote, Buffalo Bill is a sarcastic, stuck-up dick. And I wrote it on my phone. I actually put dick, like 6 eyes. Yeah. Dick. In quotes, this is something he says. He goes, oh, I'll go knock on her door. Excuse me, I want to check if you're a virgin. Like, there's a point in the movie where the occult Gaber is telling him, we have to find this girl and see if she's a virgin because that'll help figure out why this is happening.
Because he thinks virgin blood is causing this, yes.
So Buffalo Bill's, like, his lie, he's supposed to be incredulous, and what he is trying to express in that scene is, I am a professional detective. I can't just go knock on a young woman's door and say, are you a virgin? But instead, in Buffalo Bill voice, he goes, I'll just go knock on her door. Excuse me, I want to check if you're a virgin. He's just so fucking pompous and sarcastic. Then he goes, they tar and feather me. That sounds like a lot of fun for me. Yeah. And it's like, who wrote that line that just like a 16-year-old wrote that, was like, yeah, that's good. That's his roomie was like, yeah, that's awesome. That's what the I wrote I wrote Doc Tracy villains. I think I meant to say Dick Tracy villains because
Yes.
tell me that Robert Englund in his whole thing wouldn't fit perfectly into the Ned Beatty movie, right?
This is 100% straight up a Dick Tracy vibe. Like it feels like Dick Tracy would be the one investigating this. I think this is I think we just we hit it on the head. This is what Stephen King was trying to do. He's like, I want to do a Dick Tracy villain, but instead of like flat head or prune face or like big tongue, it's going to be like laundry machine.
Big tongue. And the laundry machine itself looks kind of cool in a way, but I wrote the Mangler looks like a cross between a Macy's Day Parade float and a laser tag obstacle. If you haven't seen the movie, whatever you're thinking right now after hearing that, you're pretty close to exactly what it looked like, right?
Hammered iron metal, giant chains and sprockets, 666 all over it, like everywhere you look.
And it literally looks like it's forged from like hell metal. Like it looks like it's the same shit that they made the keys out of in Lock and Key.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, it looks like that's what the exposed metal looks like.
You say that, and I'm like, it's a stage prop for a Gwar show.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what it looks like.
They're gonna feed audience members to it after jizzing on them.
It's like when someone in a movie finds like an artifact, you're like, you would touch that with your hands? That's clearly evil. Look at the design. Look at the coloration. There's no way that you wouldn't know that that's evil, right? That's very much what this looks like. And again, you'd expect to see it at like a really good high school play. You know, you're like, oh, that's the evil machine that the children made before going home at 4:00.
It's definitely a haunted house set piece. It's ridiculous. So I got to explain this icebox things because it is hilarious. So the bumbling Laurel and Hardy idiots who are carrying this icebox out of the laundry factory, bump into some shit and bumping into the girl who initially gets cut and she bleeds on the machine. And it wakes, the machine gets a taste of blood. And then this old lady spills like heart medication on the machine. And then she's the first one to get sucked in. But while this bloody thing is happening, somebody puts a handprint on the icebox and there's like blue electricity. And they go and they deliver this icebox. A few days later, like they're all looking for a kid. A kid goes missing and he's found inside the icebox with some dead birds. And like then the detective shows up and the icebox starts like shooting lightning into the sky. And like how does he destroys it? He shoots it a bunch. Like, I don't know, like not hits it with a hammer. I don't know. It's very, there can be only one Highlander. He like cuts the refrigerator's head off. It's so dumb. Whatever's happening is stupid, but everybody's like, whoa, did you see ghost energy fly out of that thing? He's like, oh, I don't know what's happening. And it is one of the weirdest moments because you're like, so there was a killer icebox too that like sucked a kid inside it. What?
I'd read that. That's the Mangler prequel.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Icebox. The Chillinator. It's so dumb, but it is how they figure out that the Mangler's alive. And then at the end, they do this exorcism and the Mangler goes quiet, but then they're like, oh no, it was the headache pills that brought it to life and it's not dead. And then it like comes to life, comes out of the ground, turns into a really, really bad CG, like early 90s CGI effect that is terrible, borderline inexcusable. You could have done stop motion. You could have done anything. Whatever this was terrible because it was obvious that they could not show what they wanted to show. It's like chasing them down the stairs into this like catacomb sewer bullshit. And then he's like, the detective and the main girl are trying to escape and they're like fighting it down the stairs and it's breathing fire and it sucks up the Gaber. And we're all sad because he's a great character. And then they jump down into the sewer and according to Wikipedia, it's like something falls from above, the end. And you're like, wait, what? But watching this movie, something falls from above, the end.
Like something, I think we're supposed to understand that the Mangler gets like electrocuted from a wire touching the sewer water or something to that effect. But it is so like this whole movie, I want to say that if you were to ask them, they would say that they were trying to make a tension building film. So when you think about Jaws, when you think about Chucky, you don't see the doll move, you don't see the shark at first,
Right.
but you know it's the doll or the shark.
Sure.
But you want to see that doll move, but it won't. It won't for the first act and a half, 2 acts. And that is to build the tension because you want to see the doll move. So you want to see this fucking, I can't even say it. You want to see this laundry machine move and it in a haunted way and hurt somebody, and you don't really see it the whole movie. And then at the end, I don't know if it was a calculated move or if they were just like, fuck it. But the machine like starts running around like a giant robot horse thing is like and it does look terrible. I was there for it because I was like, finally, something's happening. And I can at least laugh at this. I can access it as, I don't know if that's what they wanted me to feel at that point. Like at one point in Tammy and the T-Rex, the filmmaker knows for fucking sure that you're laughing at them. But he doesn't care because you're watching his movie and you're enjoying it on that level.
That is a great point. Nobody here making this movie knows that you're laughing at them. And that feels weird.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Robert Englund's like, this is my best role since Freddy Krueger. Ted Levine is like, hell yeah, I got nominated for an Oscar. Now I'm doing this movie. Heck yeah. Like nobody knows that they are garbage.
Ted Levine, it's not his fault, but Ted Levine shoots his way out of 2 cartoon scenarios. One of them is his coat gets stuck in the Mangler and it's pulling him in, and he uses his gun to shoot his coat free. Now, I'm not shitting you. I've only seen that done one other time, and that was in the Generation 1 Transformers cartoon show. They get covered, the Decepticons blow up a mountain, and the mountain falls on them, and they literally take out their guns and shoot the mountain off of them. And it's like, I don't know what else to say. I don't have a point other than just mentioning that. But yeah, at the end, when it just turns into madness with this thing, and it's like, it makes no sense. It is not the same flavor as the rest of the movie, and they do vanquish it in a way that I don't really understand. And it's not like we've all watched movies where you're like, oh, I know that you had to stick that in there. I don't understand how that was part of it, but like, okay, fine. I get what you're saying. I just watched the 4th Jeepers Creepers movie last night, and it's a mess. It makes no sense. And it's one of those, like, they're like, oh, well, we have to do this. Oh, I also watched Black Phone 2, and they're like, well, we have to do this to take away his power. And you're
don't tell me I'm watching it tonight.
I won't. But it's like, You're like, how did you discern that what you're saying will stop? Like, there's nothing in the mythos. There's nothing in either movie that explains that. I'm going to just take your word for that, even though it makes no logical sense. There's nothing like where you're like, okay, fire kills things. I understand fire.
Jason Voorhees is afraid of water.
Yeah.
What?
But at least that even is like, okay, he died in water. So ostensibly, this had nothing like that. So you have a giant robot laundry machine chasing people. And you're like, at that point, I was like, all right, I don't care. This is so fucking bonkers. I've waited all movie to see the shark or to see the doll move. And now it doesn't make any sense, but okay, at least shit's happening.
They're running through these catacombs that look like underneath like an ancient city. There's skeletons everywhere,
which we haven't heard about. They haven't mentioned that the whole movie.
Been established.
No reference to that.
No. Yeah, like we know they're in part of an ancient cult that like gives them power for sacrificing people, but never has it been like built on top of an ancient catacomb. And apparently water kills the Mangler, because he just falls in the water and then the movie's over. And you're like, but even that, you don't see the Mangler fall in the water. As Wikipedia stated, you see something fall in the water. There's a splash that doesn't even seem big enough for a Mangler. Just a splash. And then they're like, oh, and they get away. And like the convenience. Well, thank God there's this bit of water here. Like the convenience to just be like, the exorcism didn't work. Fire didn't kill it. It's a giant machine chasing us. Good thing water destroys it inside this pit. I don't even know.
Here's what happened.
Like, is that the ending of the Stephen King book? Because that would fit, I guess. He does have shitty endings.
The King book is just like, it's either put into storage or they shut the building down.
Yeah.
But there's a promise that, it's still there, I think. I don't remember.
Still eating people.
here's what happened. It was like coming back from the weekend, and me and you sit back down in Introduction to Video Production 2. And I'm like, Rumi, guess what? I visited my uncle this week, and there's a church in his town that has these catacombs in it. And we can film there. I already asked. And you're like, okay, whatever stupid ending we've already scribbled on the back of our notebook, let's throw that in the garbage, and let's just go shoot, and we'll figure out how to kill it down there.
You know what it also feels like is that like the original ending was like they lock the doors and walk away, and the producer's like, no, I need to see this thing walking around. And they're like,
Right.
Sure, okay, with what money? And he's like, I got $5 and 6 boxes of pizza. And they're like, that's great. That can afford you like 2 shots of this thing moving. And he's like,
Right.
oh, wait, well, I mean, how many more? Yeah, we didn't see Jaws. We didn't see Jaws ever. So I think it's cooler that I don't see the Mangler. We'll just have him screaming, and we'll wave some shadows on him. And they're like, okay. And then you're watching it and you're like, this sucks. And then they're like,
much is like in I did a really crappy, shitty horror movie years and years and years ago, and I became friends with one of the producers, and he was a really nice guy, but he didn't know everything there was to know about film production.
what?
So there were he hired 2 directors. They butchered the film. It was fine for what it was, but he was like, let's cut the fat. Let's cut everyone off of this film that didn't jive with us, and let's just keep the people that are left, and we'll make our own movie. So he told me and another guy that I was working with, hey, why don't you guys write a script about, he said, either a killer doll or a something else or something else. And I was like, I'm not a screenwriter. I know nothing about that. He was like, well, just do it for fun and see what happens. So me and another guy were like, okay, killer doll, let's try to figure it out. We would have a meeting, come up with the cast of characters, and then be like, okay, I'm going to write these scenes. You write these scenes. And completely independent, we would write chunks of a movie and then come together and see if we could fit them together. And if we didn't, we would chuck it. Or if we could, like, okay, what if instead of, that's her foot, what if it's her hand? Because then that way that plays into what you wrote. But that was such a stupid way to do that, because you're having 2 people write half of a script and then trying to match it up how you can. That is very much how this feels.
Yes.
It feels like whoever wrote the scenes with the girls and the Mangler was not really talking to the police detective guy who was writing that part of the movie. And then they just kind of slammed them together and tried to see where the pieces would fit. And that doesn't really make a coherent film, let alone like an interesting film that like feels good and has themes and character arcs and shit,
So I wanted to bring this up, and it's like, how many, like, it's a subgenre, killer machines. Machines that come alive and kill. I'm thinking, obviously, movies like Hardware, Terminator, RoboCop, Death Machine, Screamers, Westworld, Megan, Chopping Mall, that kind of stuff. There's Maximum Overdrive.
Oh yeah.
Andromeda Strain, is that another one or what's the Michael Crichton one where the machines come alive and start killing people?
Jurassic Machine.
Yes, Virus. I love Virus.
Oh yeah. Virus is on my to watch recently list. I need to get back on that.
Right.
That had way more, not potential. That's exceeded potential that a lot of us don't recall.
Virus is fantastic. When I saw Virus, I couldn't believe I'd never seen it before. And like reading the reviews of it, I was like, how did this not become a huge cult classic immediately? It is so fun. Virus is great. But like thinking about
an episode. I think we did a good episode, but we did an episode about that, right?
We did. There's a toy you gave me over on the wall way back there. I have one of the toys, which is great. It has
the toys are rare too.
Yeah, I have the comic books somewhere. I have all the Virus comic books. They're great. Really weird comic book. It's kind of like the movie, but not quite. But like when it comes to killer machine movies, it's like, I think Maximum Overdrive is actually a pretty good comparison.
Absolutely.
Isn't that also a Stephen King movie?
Absolutely.
Oh my God, Stephen King, your cocaine era was phenomenal. Killer truck that looks like Green Goblin. Go. Killer Mangler that's laundry machine. Go. He just threw everything at the wall. Maximum Overdrive.
Directed Maximum Overdrive too.
Shut the front adore.
think it's I have to double check, but I think that's the only one he directed.
Maximum Overdrive is great. It's like great shitty movie Sunday, terrible. Like,
Well, that's it. Again, because that for as a grown up, I think we can appreciate that at its failings and see like what keeps that from being an actual scary movie. But as a kid, I was not scared of it, but I guess I bought into it more as a kid. Like it was more of an effective movie for me when I was like a teenager. Now it's like fun fest. This is hysterical. Let's laugh at this.
Maximum Overdrive is more fun anyway. It's not really scary. Like the truck stalking you. Like it's more akin to Mad Max, where it's like, yeah, if there was a creepy guy in leather chaps and a hockey mask inside the car, you have the same movie. Like,
yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, you're right. That's a good way to think of it. Yeah.
I mean, it's a Mad Max movie, but like, I love it when the lawnmower just runs over this guy's head. Psh, you're like, got him.
What about the steamroller going against all the baseball kids?
Oh my God.
It's well, the other thing too, I think that the Mangler has against it, and this isn't really its fault, but the fact that Stephen King has already created two, at least that we've just started talking about, two killer possessed such and suches that work. Maximum Overdrive was a short story called Trucks, and the short story was better and less tongue-in-cheek, but better than the movie Maximum Overdrive, which, although not as serious as it could be, is a great movie and enjoyable. Then you have Christine, which is a great book and also a really good movie. At least I never liked Christine, the movie, as much as everybody else seems to, but it is effective. I can't say I don't like it because it's not great. I just feel like it's a ho-hum entry. And I don't know. I guess from a production standpoint, I really do love it. But as an entertaining vehicle, it's just like whatever to me. But like we already have 4 successes, 2 literary and 2 on screen about things being possessed.
Yeah.
So to have for it to be a fucking laundry machine, if he had made it like a television or I don't know, a reciprocating saw, I feel like that's a little bit more believable. But the fact that it's so random, he's like, what's something that no one in the audience will have any personal point of reference from, you know?
Yes. This is I've often stated the same problem with like My Bloody Valentine. I'm not a miner, so I don't even know, like, is that how miners work? Is that how mining work? Is that what you do? Why are there clothes up in the ceiling? What is going on with all this stuff? Like, is that how you shower? You guys don't have shower heads? Like, what is this machine that you just killed a guy with? Like, I think I get it. It's like a train. Yeah, it's like a
You're right.
Giant nail gun, but I don't know what that is. Is that something miners use? Do you need that? Like, what is that tool? Like, they don't explain it. I just love it.
Sure. Yeah.
Mangler bothers me more because apparently Stephen King worked in industrial laundry. I just looked this up.
Yeah, I saw that too.
So he saw people lose fingers in a Mangler incident and was like, I'm gonna write a book about it. Here we go. I don't know anything about industrial laundry. I never have worked in an industrial thing, but it's just like, you can't just take every job you ever had and make it like kill you. I have had part of my toe cut off with a lawnmower, so I guess Maximum Overdrive is scarier.
That wasn't a work-related thing. That was just because you're dumb.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. I was 16. What do you want?
All right, so 2 things. One serious and one joking. The serious thing is, I guess when you're writing a story, making a movie or whatever, you have to keep your audience in mind. And something like the minor thing that you're talking about is a great example. And it is something that I've watched both of those movies, the new one and the old one, My Bloody Valentine, many times. And there is this really cool thing about like pulling these these costumes up in the air and bringing them back down. And it's used later in a death, but they don't establish it. Like, you got to use Chekhov's costume hanger, and you have to show a character using it or getting scared by it. And then another character says, oh, that's how we do that because of that. You got scared. Now the audience understands that thing. So when it comes back later, you use it. And like, you could think of a million examples of that. But the further your premise is away from your audience, the harder it is to sell it. And I guess when you think about Jurassic Park, how many paleontologists were in any given movie theater, right? Not a lot.
Right.
How many genetic scientists were in that same theater? Not a lot. But the movie does explain that shit in a way that we're like, okay, I have a basic understanding of your premise. Go. But I feel like when the premise is so thin that it's like possessed laundry machine, period. That's it. And you're like, okay, but like, there's not much meat on that bone. And then you don't explain much about it. It's not that scary. Like, as a scary thing, it can't go anywhere until the last 30 seconds.
Well, so I'm reading.
Movie, right?
I'm reading about the short story. So in the short story, goes very similar to what we have, but at the end, when the monster rips itself free, the detective runs to the owner's house and he's like, you need to stop it. You need to stop it. It's getting stronger. The demon's stronger. And then he flees. Hunton flees to the home of Roger Martin and implores him to destroy the Mangler before collapsing in a faint. Martin picks up the telephone, but before he can call anyone, he realizes from the increasingly loud metallic sounds outside and the scent of blood in the air that the Mangler has broken free of its moorings and is now roaming the streets in search of prey. So it ends with it just Godzillaing around the town. That would have been cool! Whoa! That would have been sick as fuck!
But there's no way, even if the whole movie had done an amazing job of being not tongue-in-cheek, super serious, taking itself seriously correctly, there's no way you could show that without being silly, right? There's no way. Even what would be the best if you had to film that? Let's say you made a successful horror movie or horror TV episode up until that point.
Yep.
The only way I would say that is you shoot it as what you just read is written, where you don't see it, you just hear it. So he's on the phone and he looks up and you hear ka-clang, 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 ka-clang. Otherwise, like, you can't show that.
No, Rumi, you have to try it. This is something I always say. Like, you read in a lot of horror novels, especially like H.P. Lovecraft, Clive Barker, they write something that they see something so terrifying it makes you go insane. And I say, I know you can't put that on film. I know that's impossible to do, but you cheat your audience if you don't take a stab at it. You cheat yourself as a creative if you don't take a stab at it. I don't care if it's a giant rubber costume with dryer hose arms and legs going, whoa, stomping on buildings. You at least have to try. Like, you're right. The smarter move is don't show it. Let the audience fill that in. But I think, like, Midnight Meat Train, not a porno. It's a real movie. It's got who's in Midnight Meat Train? Somebody famous.
Bradley Cooper. Bradley
Cooper's in it, and Vinnie Jones. It's a Clive Barker book, and it's a phenomenal Clive Barker short story. It's in Books of Blood. And at the end of it, he goes to the end of the rails, and there's rat people collecting the bodies, and they're feeding it to an elder god. And he's like, he sees it and goes mad. Whoa, feeding it to an eldritch horror? That's sick. In the movie, they get to the end of the line, they're just feeding it to the rat people. And the whole time I was like, oh boy, here comes some Cthulhu monster. And they were like, nah, roll credits. And I felt so ripped off. And it's like, you didn't even attempt to show the coolest part of the book. You didn't even try. You didn't even just have him look up. And then in the shadows, you see like glints of eyes, that like tons of eyes, like something, a tentacle reaches out. Like, give me anything to hint at what would make this epic. And, you know, I think the Mangler, I give him credit for at least attempting to have it break free of its moorings and chase people through the sewers, but failed. But I would rather you fail than not do anything.
See, but I get what you're saying and don't disagree, but I would probably want to take a case, point by point, case by case, because I feel like what you're saying Cthulhu monster, that is like an esoteric thing that a lot of us have. We did an episode on it, Existential Dread. To show, like you're saying, the concept of showing, or the concept of a creature or a thing that is so such and such, it'll drive you insane.
What?
How can you actually show that, right? But like, that's a hard thing to tackle if you are a filmmaker or a storyteller or whatever, and I get that.
Yeah.
But that's the premise of that creature or that entity or that god, is that it will drive you insane. This is just a thing that is visually so hard, like, without trying to be funny, it's so hard to digest and take seriously on its own. It's like, think about the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Actually, that's a good example.
Great example.
That's not necessarily scary, but when you first see it, you laugh because of the concept. but he is actually a menacing character that is breaking buildings, and your protagonist in that film are afraid of him and the damage that he can cause. So you have to say, okay, if this is trying to think also, like I guess like in Krampus, when you see the killer toys come to life,
Yeah.
you're like, okay, that's a giant such and such. That's a giant Jack in the Box, and that's a doll that's coming alive to kill you. A killer giant teddy bear is funny, and it's hard to sell that as actually scary. You have an extra level to do, whereas if you just have Chucky, a cute little good guy doll, now you're going to make him evil. That still can be tough depending on how you crafted the rest of your film and the rest of your story. I just think if you're going to show, if you've made a good movie so far and you've captured the audience this long into the film, and now you have your literal last shot or segments of shots, and you got to show this laundry machine for the first time, I don't know how you can actually do that without getting a laugh. Even if you've crafted even if Stanley Kubrick directed the movie, how do you get to that point and show that laundry machine walking down a street, right?
Tank. It turns into like a tank. How about that? Tank treads, because it has all those chains on it and like conveyor belts. Basically starts rolling around like a tank, just nom. You know, it looks like a steamroller coming at you. But like, yeah, how fast can this thing actually move?
Like, what's the scariest you can make that look? You know what I mean?
It'd have to get real big.
I don't think it's a matter of size. I just think
the corpses that it's eaten, it starts regurgitating the blood and turns into like an amorphous, like blood monster hybrid. Think like the virus creatures. It's like got skulls and shit coming out of it, and just like,
okay,
you know. And yeah, I think the creatures in Virus are pretty good and scary like that.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
Again, a 7-ton laundry machine. This thing's huge, by the way. It's not like a washer and dryer. This thing is the size of 2 buses at least. It's huge. Movie's ridiculous. Goddamn ridiculous. I applaud them for the attempt, and I applaud everybody involved for not laughing through every scene that they had to utter a sentence in. You piece of dog fuck.
It says, let's see. It says DVD Talk, a guy named Mike Long rated it 0.5 out of 5 stars.
Oh,
and he wrote, there have been many bad throwaway projects based on material from Stephen King, but The Mangler has to be one of the worst. The movie's laughable premise is only brought down by the inept filmmaking on display here, which I don't necessarily disagree with. But let's see, DVD Verdict, a guy named David Johnson wrote, the film features a lot of gore, a solid, creepy atmosphere, some wonky special effects, all set against a really dumb premise.
I
agree. This is not like, I would not suggest or recommend this one for Shitty Movie Sunday, but knowing my friends that come to Shitty Movie and that are very funny, we would have a good enough time with this that it wouldn't be a waste of a night. But like, I can think of 100 movies off the top of my head that would be more fun for it. But it's if you guys are like us and you're curious about this kind of shit, and sometimes I just want the merit badge of I watched a movie about blank. Yeah. I watched a movie about a killer laundry machine, and there's fucking 2 or 3 of these. I think there's at least 3.
There's 2 sequels, Mangler 2 and then Mangler Reborn. They both have worse reviews than this. Here's one. It's a 3.5-star review on Letterboxd. It says, the machinery of capitalism oiled by the blood of the workers. And I was like, yeah, I like that. A socialist take on. Oh my God, this looks so bad. Lance Hendrickson is in Mangler 2.
He plays the Mangler.
Yeah. Oh my God. Here's the plot of Mangler 2. A teenage girl mistakenly downloads the Mangler 2.0 computer virus into her high school's new state-of-the-art computer, and the computer system, and all hell breaks loose. If it kills
high schoolers, I'm on board.
That sounds woof.
But isn't that also very far from the premise? Like, isn't that if like Jurassic Park 2, the scientists, instead of creating dinosaurs, created people? And you're like, but that's not Jurassic Park. That's a completely different movie. Right?
Here's a 0.5-star review for Mangler 2. Do you ever worry you spend too much time watching movies? Do you ever think maybe there comes a point where as many millions of films as there are in the world, you've seen every film worth seeing? Do you ever think, why does this film exist? What's the point? This film sent this guy into an existential crisis. Do you ever think about the hours you've wasted watching films and the percentage of your limited life on Earth this covers? Do you ever feel like no matter how much good there is in the world, it will forever be outweighed by the bad? There will be good films. You may feel like you spent quality time with them, but there will also be very, very bad films, and these will suck up your life like some sort of Dyson. This guy goes on and on and on about sent him into an existential spiral about how bad this movie is. Oh, wow. Holy cow.
I love it. He saw the face of the mad god that changes you crazy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Happened. Yeah.
Watching Mangler 2 is the equivalent of watching an eldritch horror that turns you crazy.
Mangler 2 is an elder god.
Yeah. 2005, Mangler Reborn. A decade after the original massacre, another man obsessed over his machine ends with a couple of murders and possession. A couple?
Okay.
A few? Oh my God. Again, just nothing but 0.5-star reviews that just see. I don't say this lightly. This might be the worst movie I've ever watched.
For Reborn?
Yeah.
See, now I feel like I might want to watch that. That to me is like a bait, you know?
Yeah. I'm tempted. Like, I can't say I'm not thinking about it. It's like you and the man bun. I'm not thinking about not watching it. Well, guys, how many shitty Stephen King movies have you watched? Have you guys seen The Mangler? Are you going to watch The Mangler now that we've talked about it? You should, because then you could be in the club. You can be like, hey,
yeah.
Me and these two idiot podcasters of the three people who watched The Mangler.
I actually got one more little bit of trivia about someone who watched The Mangler. You want to hear something cool?
Yeah, hit me hard, dude.
At least according to IMDb.
Yeah.
Jim Cummings, who was the voice actor who does Winnie the Pooh, Tigger,
everything. Yes.
Hondo, yeah, Dr. Robotnik. He apparently did some of the vocalizations for The Mangler, some of the noises for The Mangler. He did it in part because he was a big fan of Tobe Hooper and he wanted to work with Tobe Hooper. He didn't like the experience because he felt like, again, according to what I'm reading here, he didn't like the effort that he was putting into it was not worth what the film ended up becoming. He said he thought it was funny when he eventually saw the movie on TV. His name is Jim Cummings. He thought it was funny because on the credits, he's credited as Tim Cummings instead of Jim. So he was kind of relieved that he actually wasn't credited with the performance in the terrible movie. I have a friend that's a really big Winnie the Pooh fan. So that's for you.
That's hysterical.
Can you imagine?
He is one of those people that if you're like, you want to just go, oh, no way. Read his IMDb, read his credits, because you'll be like, oh, he was that Transformer? Wait, he was in Ghostbusters? Wait, he did Scooby-Doo and Fred? Wait, he was Tigger for a bunch of time?
Yeah.
He was also Winnie the Pooh? No way, he was a Boo in Aladdin? Like, his credit is ridiculous.
He did some of our voices in this episode.
Yep. Yeah, but we're going to credit him as Jim Bummings, and he'll be sad that he didn't get credit properly. And we spelled his last name wrong too, so it's raunchy.
I think a fun way to end this episode would be to we've seen that Stephen King worked in an industrial laundry place, which is probably where he got the idea from. Think about jobs that you've had, and let's just give one-liner pitches based on one-liner horror pitches based on jobs that you and I have had. So, like, for example, killer pizza oven.
Killer cool chemical receptacle. So I can tell you this story. So so I worked at this like pool, and it was like a really old. So this is where like rich people would test their sailboats. It's a massive concrete pit, and it's like being overgrown, and they recently redid all the piping in it because it was falling apart. And down at this old like pump house is where all the chemicals that you put the chlorine and stuff in. And oh my God. So trigger warning, this sounds the guy who hired me was an angry guy. He'd get pissed off and he'd show up with a chainsaw and just like start hacking at weeds, and he'd yell at you all the time until little veins popped out his head. And he's teaching me how to work this pool. And he starts pouring the chlorine tablets in, and he goes, "You got to be careful with this shit. This is how they gas the you know." Trigger warning, Holocaust reference from my boss. And I was like, that's really messed up, man. And he was like, "What? It's just a fact." And you're just like, that. The fact that you would tell me that during my job
why would you tell a teenager that?
Yeah, during my job training,
part-time job.
Yeah, and he's like, "If you don't release it, it'll spray gas everywhere, and you could die in here." And I was like, "Why are you letting a 16-year-old manage this? This is not okay, man. Like horrible. It was a really messed up job to be there. But like you'd have to just sit around and scrub the pool. But yeah, that place could kill you. And if it was sentient and alive, maybe with the based on his reference, maybe with the ghost of some evil Nazis, pieces of shit. Like, yeah, I could see that movie happening. What do you think of that pitch?
I'm on board. How about a possessed ice cream scoop?
Oh, my eye!
Yeah.
Dang, terrifying. You said pizza oven.
Yeah, I worked at a pizza place.
You know, that's how they
Yeah. Yeah, Arturo, my boss there, never told me about the Jews.
Oh, terrible. Launchpad podcast does
lunatic face painter at a toy store.
Oh my gosh, I painted faces at the 500. I had to draw the little Ferrari horse so many times. People are like, "I want the Ferrari on my cheek. I want Red Bull on my cheek," and you're like, "Oh." So yeah, and I could definitely have killed people. It was so shit. They're lucky I wasn't stabbing them out with face paint shit.
Job that I have.
I was a camp counselor for a while. There's always that. I mean, that's been done.
I'm trying to think what other part-time jobs I had.
I worked as a landscaper at a retirement community, and the golf cart could kill me at any second. I crashed that golf cart once. We would take it joyriding, and we hit this hill and went airborne into this lady's bushes. The golf cart like flipped over in her bushes. And we're pulling this golf. Me and the other guy are trying to pull the golf cart out of the bushes. And then we just drove away and left the bushes all fucked. And our boss is like, what happened to Mrs. Burnmeyer's bushes? And we're like, I don't know. You guys didn't.
Did you have to go fix them because you were the landscapers?
You guys didn't crash it. It looks like something crashed into it. I don't know.
It's a fucking golf cart shaped hole right here.
Yeah. And she said she saw two idiots trying to pull it out.
So for that movie, I want it to be a plant horror movie. So it's the gardeners are the bad people, the landscapers, and they're killing the bushes. So it's not like you're not a danger to humans. It's a danger to plants.
Oh, and the plants are the main characters. It's like Fern Gully.
Yeah. A Fern Gully horror movie. Oh, God.
I mean, Fern Gully is a horror movie. Do you remember that smog monster? Terrifying.
Please, guys, write us. Tell us what part-time jobs you had that would make good horror movies or bad horror movies. I don't even care if they're good. Give us some pitches on movies that you guys have or we could make from your life. That would be funny.
Oh yeah, I want to hear them, and I would make them and watch them all. Horrible jobs that we've done. Oh God, stump removers. I have never been a stump remover, but watching stump removers, I'm always like, are you guys going to be okay if I leave you alone? Because it looks like none of you know what you're doing, and you have some pretty intense equipment here. Like, oh my God. Okay, I'm going to tell the story real quick. So my dad is visiting. Me, my daughter, my dad are playing in a kiddie pool, and this guy comes over and is like, hey,
How big is this kiddie pool?
I mean, big enough for two adults and a child to be like playing in. It was fine. I mean,
Is this at a pool or like in your backyard?
in our backyard. We put up inflated a kiddie pool.
Okay.
It's a big kiddie pool. But so this guy, a stranger, comes over, is like, hey, can I borrow a power cord? I was like, sure. What are you doing? He's like, I've been hired to remove this stump. And he has like a tiny like hedge trimmer chainsaw. And I was like, uh-huh. And my dad goes, you should probably have some towels standing by for when he cuts it. And I go, do you want to borrow some eye protection? Do I need eye protection? Yeah, most people wear like Kevlar pants when they use a chainsaw. Why? Because if that chain breaks, where's it going? Oh. So he comes back, so he leaves and he comes back with a bigger chainsaw and some like jeans that he bought at like Target. And he's looking at it, and then he leaves again, and he comes back with bales of hay and just covers up the stump. He's like, well, there we go. It takes off. But we were like,
Thinking outside the box.
This guy's going to die. This kid who has no business handling a chainsaw is going to die. I've used a chainsaw multiple times, and you realize, whoa, this is one of the most.
Even that's a bad idea.
Yeah, this is one of the most dangerous tools you could ever have because it catches, pops back at you, the chain breaks and starts spinning around like a death wheel. Horrible devices. And if you've never used one before, you have no business touching it for the first time on a job ever without eye protection. And he's wearing like gym shorts. Like you're going to get your balls cut off and lose an eye, dumbass.
I like the idea that guy couldn't even provide his own power. Like he hadn't thought that far ahead.
Yeah.
To be like, well, wait, I need electricity by that stump.
Yeah, this is literally someone who's like on Craigslist was like, I'll do anything for a little bit of money. And
right.
They're like,
Fiverr.
Do a stump. And he's like, all right. And like just showed up. Like, what a dangerous thing. Holy cow. Yeah, he must have been a TaskRabbit or a Fiverr, just like agreed to do something hyper dangerous. And the funny thing is, just down at the other end of the street, there were professional stump removers with like a literal like bulldozer, and they just hooked a chain around the stump and just drove and yanked it out. And they're like, all right, we're done. I was like, I think you should go get a 6-pack and ask those guys to do this for you. And they'll do it in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, ridiculous. So yeah, stump removal could be.
And now there's a Stephen King movie made out of that kid called Stumper.
Stumper.
Oh, that works for chopped off legs too. That would be perfect.
Oh.
Stumper. Don't take my idea.
Stephen King's like, bastards. They took my idea. Oh, I love it. Rumi, there's one thing left we got to do. After,
you got to say on social media
shit. You guys got to follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, all that shit, at Launchpad Pod, our website, launchpadpod.com, and on YouTube, where you see our happy little faces where we say funny things. And you can see Matt collect loogies through the whole goddamn episode.
Yeah, I tried to be discreet about it and at least do it off camera, but gross.
Hope you feel better, man. Let's blast this thing off. Which side am I on your computer? See, I'm over here.
Your hand is on if you do that, your hand is on my left side. You're a screen left.
So where's your hand? Yeah, do that. We'll be good. All right, ready?
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Whoopsh.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.